So, with Aston Martin releasing their earnings on Monday, I wanted to do a quick video just to explain my position on Aston, where I think the company could be going, where it is currently going, and whether I think it's a good company to buy or a good company to sell. Now, previously I have made a good chunk of money at the start of the year shorting Aston, because I could see it going down. I could see that the potential of the company was not great. It's declining sales, and it really wasn't looking like it was going to go anywhere. Um, to be completely honest, not a great deal has changed in regards to where the company actually is physically at the moment. Um, but it does have a lot of potential, and if I see a certain number of things happening, then potentially this could turn the company around and it could become a buy for me. So let's just kind of go over a few things of where the company is now. So the first thing that we know is obviously they've released the DBX, the first SUV from Aston Martin ever, and we're really kind of looking to how those sales have been going. Obviously, it's been released in China, and we were hoping for strong growth from sales in China. I'll be completely honest, I'm not really confident that the sales volume that they kind of really need is going to be there. Um, Looking at the car, looking at the inside of the car, looking at reviews online, I feel like the car's just not quite there, and I just I feel like it still needs some more work. And so what we do know obviously is that Mercedes have got a big part of started playing a lot bigger part in Aston Martin. They've invested originally anyway, and they are planning to increase their stake up to about 20%. And if you look at a lot of the vehicles now that Aston are producing, if you look inside, you can really see the Mercedes touch on them, which I actually think is more of a hindrance than a help. I had the great pleasure, and I really use that because of the fact that I had the great pleasure of driving a Mercedes C-Class for a few weeks, a couple of weeks back, and it was possibly one of the worst experiences I've ever had with driving. Now, I've been spoilt because I've been driving a Tesla, and I got into the Mercedes, and I it was hell driving it for the 2 weeks that I had it. And you may think that that is a very extreme and to an extent very privileged kind of thing to say, but sitting in that car, there were so many buttons. I felt like someone had taken my iPhone away and given me a BlackBerry from the 90s, because there was just so many buttons that did the same thing. I couldn't work half of the car because it was just so overly ridiculously complicated. And the sat nav, like, where it's just like a screen, not touch screen, and you've got some weird turny thing to control it. And Aston Martin seems to use that exact same system in their cars, and it really is not good. They really shouldn't be using that. That's like, it's like something from the 90s. I feel like Mercedes have kind of taken a car from the 90s and they've just not really bothered to update any of it. This is what worked for people in the 90s, and we'll just, add new features to it rather than to actually make it user friendly. So the fact that Aston have completely copied that, and kind of obviously they've bought it from Mercedes and put it in their cars, and that's a real concern. And the only reason that I'm not overly concerned in the future for this, because I think if they kept that, I would be very concerned. But the fact that now, if you look at the new Mercedes, that the MBUX that they have worked on with Nvidia, now the technology and the inside of that car is spot on. Okay, I mean that the way that that car operates is the technology and the things that should be inside an Aston Martin. Okay, we're talking about James Bond's car. This should be a tech car. This should not be some thing from the 90s that just hasn't moved on. And that's exactly what it is at the moment. Now, I think the fact that Mercedes have taken such a large chunk of Aston at the moment, and what they're moving up to 20%, I think really kind of points to the fact that there's the potential here that Mercedes could end up doing a bit of a takeover so that they can just take the Aston Martin brand on board and add it to their kind of portfolio as such, which may not be the worst thing. I don't really know for the company, but it means that if the share price does end up dropping, then there's a good chance that if it goes properly under value, that Mercedes may well do that. They'll definitely be in a position if they own 20% of the stock. But going forward, if they do manage to stay completely separate, it's just a case of how quickly they can get their electric car out. And I really do think that for the future of this company, this is very much a case of how quickly they can get a suitable electric vehicle out on the market. Now, this is Aston Martin. I really don't think that they actually need to work on a lot of the tech side of it. What they need to work on is the design side of it, and they need to partner with other companies to sort this out, sort the other side of it out. Okay, now obviously they've partnered with Mercedes. Whether Mercedes technically have all the bits ready that they need, I don't know. But I think the electric vehicle for Aston is quite a long way off. And if it is going to take them that long, I think the company will be dead before it comes out. It will be bought out by Mercedes if that's the case, because if they take that long, their sales are just going to keep plummeting, and it's just not going to work out. So there's that. So at the moment, the price we're looking at, it's fluctuating between 70 and 80 pence per share. So one thing I would say 100% is I will definitely not be shorting this stock, because at the current price, it's such a low price that it could very easily, with some good news, like double or triple in price, and that's the worst thing to do when you short a stock, because obviously it completely ruins you. If the stock was massively overvalued, maybe we'd consider it, but at the moment it's not. It's probably a fairly fair value for the company at the moment. And if I was confident in the future of the company, I would absolutely recommend to buy it. But I'm not. I'm just not. There's nothing at the moment that gives me the confidence that they're going to move the company forward. They've got obviously their Formula One team that they're pushing forward with, which will help the brand recognition, but I mean, they don't really need it. They've got James Bond. That's their kind of their angle. Why they need to push with F1, I really don't know. what they need to do is more focus on reaching modern customers, because they're aiming, at the end of the day, at the moment, a premium vehicle like Aston Martin and all of the other cars that you pay hundreds of thousands of pounds for, the customers that buy these cars are doing so because they want people to look at that car and see it as a reflection on the driver. You know, that person has an Aston Martin, therefore they must be a big important person. And that's obviously, historically, that's been completely fine with these vehicles. However, where we are moving forward into an age where people are far more considering more important things like the environment and global warming and a whole other plethora of issues, having a car that's a fuel car, having a car that's covered in leather, there's a lot of negative implications to that. And if you're the kind of person that's spending a huge amount of money on your vehicle to make you feel like you're big and important, then you don't want people to be looking at you in a negative light. And that's kind of what's going to start to happen more and more with people driving Aston Martin cars, until they bring out electric vehicles. And I can't go over this enough, how important this is for the future of this company. I mean, the UK is even talking about stopping electric vehicles, and Aston still are dragging their heels, and they're a UK-based company. I mean, it just blows your mind what the people of this company are actually thinking. Like, they must be one of the furthest behind car companies in the world. And they're James Bond's cars, so they should be the furthest ahead. We should be talking about high-tech cars with Aston Martin, not old, decrepit, out-of-date technology with millions of buttons everywhere that do the same thing. That's not what an Aston should be. So when they announce an electric car that is actually about to be produced and is actually ready, and they've got a prototype and they're like, you know, this is going in production next month, you can pre-order it, that is when I'll consider investing. Until they do that, I think you should avoid buying this stock, because there's just no future to this company at this stage. Its sales will continue to decline, and like I say, I think there's more chance that Mercedes are going to kind of wait until that price drops even more and then just gobble it up. So that's my thoughts. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm completely wrong? Do you think they're going to carry on producing fuel cars and suddenly start making a huge amount of money? If so, let me know in the comments below. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next video.